All right, so get this, a White House crypto summit. I mean, who would have thought we'd see the day, right? It's not exactly an everyday thing for the U.S. government to go all in on the future of crypto.
What's really interesting here is that it kind of signals a pretty big shift in how the government is looking at cryptocurrencies, you know? It's a far cry from the early days when, everyone was so skeptical.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy to think that Bitcoin was like this fringe idea back in the day, something out of a cyberpunk novel almost. And now we've got the president inviting like the biggest names in crypto to talk about like the future of finance, mainstream acceptance, right?
It seems like this summit is about, way more than just saying, okay, crypto exists. It's like they're really exploring how it could shape, the whole financial landscape.
Right. And that's huge for anyone like even remotely into crypto. We could be talking about new regulations, maybe even like a US government-backed crypto reserve. Can you imagine the impact of something like that?
It's pretty wild to think about, right? A government, especially the US, backing its currency with digital assets. A few years ago, that was sounded insane.
I know, right? It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era for finance. But let's break this down a bit. When we say crypto reserve, what are we talking about exactly? Is it like similar to countries holding gold reserves?
That's the key question, and I think this is where things need to be a little clearer. The term crypto reserve, it's being thrown around a lot, but there are different ways to interpret that. One possibility is like a strategic reserve.
Yeah.
That would be more similar to, gold or oil reserves.
Mm.
It's mostly about stability and backing the national currency.
So if we're talking about backing the US dollar with crypto, wouldn't Bitcoin be the obvious choice for that kind of strategic reserve? It's like the OG crypto, the most decentralized, and everyone considers it a store of value.
Bitcoin does seem like the most natural fit for that, yeah. And we've even seen big names in the crypto space like Brian Armstrong from Coinbase advocating for exactly that, a Bitcoin-centric strategic reserve. He says it's the simplest, the clearest option, given to Bitcoin's its place on the market.
That makes sense. But what about all the other cryptos out there, the altcoins? Where do they fit into all of this? Would they just be like left out completely?
There are definitely different opinions on that. Some people think the reserve should be all about Bitcoin, focusing on that stability and security. Others think that excluding altcoins could like stifle innovation. And then you miss out on the potential benefits of a more diverse approach.
So there's definitely room for debate there. It almost sounds like there are two different like philosophies when it comes to this whole crypto reserve idea.
Exactly, exactly. It's not as simple as just like picking a few random cryptocurrencies and calling it a day. There are like deeper things to think about. The US government's goals, for example, like what are they trying to achieve with this reserve? Are they just focused on stability, or do they want to like encourage innovation and help the crypto industry grow?
That's a really good point. I mean, if the government is serious about making the U.S. a leader in the crypto space, wouldn't it make sense to include some promising altcoins in the mix?
It's a strong argument, yeah. There's this idea that maybe they'll go with a two-pronged approach. So on the one hand, you have the Bitcoin-centric strategic reserve for stability and backing the dollar. And on the other hand, you have maybe like a sovereign wealth fund that would invest in a basket of, promising altcoins. And that would be focused on long-term growth and fostering innovation.
Okay, now that's interesting. A strategic reserve for stability and a separate sovereign wealth fund for growth. But but then we get to the million-dollar question, right? Which altcoins would actually make the cut?
Well, that's where things get really, really interesting. There are like a ton of factors to consider.
I bet. I mean, there are like thousands of altcoins out there, and they all claim to be the next big thing. How do you even begin to narrow it down?
It's a bit like trying to pick winning lottery numbers, honestly.
Yeah.
But there are some clues. We can look at the government's overall objectives, for example.
Okay, I'm following you.
Yeah.
So if they want to bring crypto activity back to the U.S., make it a global leader in the space, wouldn't it make sense for them to favor projects that are already U.S. based?
That's a pretty reasonable assumption, I'd say. And if you take that logic a step further, you could also look at projects that are, actively trying to get regulatory approval in the US, like those that are applying for ETFs. After all, the government probably prefers to work with projects that are, playing by the rules and trying to operate within the existing regulatory framework.
So we're talking U.S.-based projects working with regulators. Okay, that definitely helps narrow things down a bit.
It does, yeah. But we can go even deeper. Remember how President Trump has talked about specific cryptocurrencies in some of his public statements before?
I think I see where you're going with this. Are you saying his past comments could be a clue to what he's thinking now?
It's definitely a possibility, right? I mean, we can't take his past statements as like guarantees or anything, but they might give us a glimpse into his thinking and the potential direction of this summit. And if we combine that with the other factors we've discussed, US-based projects, ETF applications, and which projects are actually attending the summit itself, we might start to see a pattern.
All right, you've got me hooked. What does this pattern look like? Which altcoins are like checking all the boxes?
Well, I actually put together a visual just to help us see it. It's a chart with like overlapping categories representing each of those factors we talked about.
Okay, let me guess. The coins that show up in all four categories are the most likely candidates for this hypothetical crypto reserve, right? It's like finding the sweet spot in a Venn diagram.
You got it. It's about finding the coins that line up with the government's their potential goals and preferences. And based on this chart, there are two that really stand out, XRP and Cardano.
Wow, only two. That's kind of surprising.
It is, right. But that's what makes this so interesting, I think. When you filter out all the noise and just focus on the key factors, things start to become a lot clearer.
This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away with speculating, we should probably be clear that this is just one possible scenario.
Oh, absolutely. We're not saying we know exactly what's going to happen at the summit. This framework just gives us a good starting point for understanding how the market might react,
Right. It's like we're detectives trying to solve a puzzle, but instead of like catching a criminal, we're trying to figure out the future of the crypto market.
I like that analogy. And just like, good detectives, we got to consider all the evidence and be ready for some unexpected twists and turns.
So we've got our list of potential chosen coins. What's the next step? How do we, like regular folks, actually use this information? Because I'm guessing it's not as simple as just, buying those two coins and hoping for the best.
You're absolutely right. Just buying into the hype is never a good strategy. We need to go beyond the headlines and really dig into the technical side of these cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so we're talking about technical analysis,
Yeah.
charts, indicators, all that stuff.
Exactly. And one of the first things we need to look at is whether a coin is in what's called a no-trade zone.
A no-trade zone. That sounds interesting. What does that mean exactly?
Basically, it means the coin's price, the technical indicators are suggesting that it's not the best time to buy or sell. It might be, consolidating, not really moving in a clear direction, or maybe showing signs of potential volatility.
Right.
Jumping into a trade during a no-trade zone can be risky, especially for people who are new to crypto.
So even though XRP and Cardano are like strong contenders for this potential crypto reserve, we shouldn't just rush out and buy them right now.
That's a really important point. We need to look at each coin's its technical setup and see if it's actually a good entry point. For example, even though XRP has a lot of potential, it's trading right in the middle of its recent price range. There's no clear trend yet, which makes it a bit of a no trade zone at the moment.
Okay, that makes sense. So even with all the excitement around the summit and the possibility of these coins being included in a government-backed reserve, we still need to be patient. Wait for a better technical setup before making a move.
Exactly. It's about being strategic, not impulsive. We're not trying to chase like quick pumps here. We're trying to make informed decisions based on both fundamental and technical analysis.
This is really starting to make things clearer. So even a coin ticks all the boxes we've talked about, we got to look at its technicals, its setup before even thinking about a trade. It's like having a great recipe, but also making sure you have all the right ingredients and tools before you start cooking.
I like that analogy. And just like in cooking, timing is everything when it comes to trading. Entering at the right time can make all the difference.
This has been super helpful in understanding how to think about these potential chosen coins. But before we go any further, I think it's important to remind everyone that we're not like financial advisors or anything.
Absolutely. We're just exploring different scenarios and sharing our insights based on the information we have and our own analysis.
Right. It's all about giving our listeners the knowledge they need to make their own informed decisions, based on their own research and how much risk they're comfortable with.
Couldn't agree more. It's about about building a community of informed and empowered crypto enthusiasts
Right.
who can navigate this exciting but sometimes complex space.
Well said. I think we've given our listeners a lot to digest already in this first part of our deep dive.
We've talked about the potential impact of the summit, the different types of crypto reserves, and even touched on the importance of technical analysis.
Yeah, but we're just getting started. When we come back, we'll dig deeper into specific technical setups for those the potential chosen coins, and we'll explore how to find those ideal entry and exit points.
It's going to be a wild ride, so make sure to tune in for part 2 of our deep dive.
Until then, keep those charts handy and those minds curious. We'll catch you soon.
So, before we really jump into the technical stuff, I think it's good to zoom out a bit. Look at the bigger picture around this summit.
Yeah, I'm with you. What are we missing here?
Well, we've been talking a lot about like specific coins and how they might be impacted, but this summit could have, much broader implications for the whole crypto market.
Oh, for sure. It's like a ripple effect, you know.
Yeah.
A good outcome could really boost confidence across the board, maybe even attract more institutional investors. But then again, any bad news or like regulatory roadblocks
Yeah.
could totally spook the market, trigger a sell-off.
Exactly. And that's why understanding the overall sentiment, how people are feeling about the market and how they might react to the summit is just as important as analyzing individual coins. Everything's like connected.
It's kind of funny how this summit has like shifted the whole conversation. It's not just about the tech anymore or the potential profits. It's about how crypto fits into the whole global financial system.
Mm.
It's almost like crypto's finally being taken seriously by the people who used to like dismiss it completely.
It really shows how far crypto has come in such a short time. And this summit feels kind of like a pivotal moment, like a crossroads where the future of crypto is being shaped.
So we've got this potentially huge event coming up, and everyone's like on the edge of their seats waiting to see what happens.
Mm.
But but you mentioned earlier how important it is to understand the technical aspects of those chosen coins. Should we dive into that now?
Absolutely. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of charts and indicators. Because even if a coin seems like a strong contender based on, everything we've talked about, we still got to make sure it's showing us a good entry point from a technical perspective.
Right. It's about finding those sweet spots, those moments where the technical setup aligns with the fundamentals. And I know you're the expert at spotting those opportunities. So lead the way.
Okay, well let's go back to XRP for a second. Remember we talked about it being in a no trade zone right now? It's kind of stuck in the middle of its recent price range, not really going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. So what are we looking for to figure out when it might be a good time to buy or sell?
One way to approach it is to identify those key support and resistance levels that we talked about earlier. If you look at XRP's chart, you'll see a pretty significant support level around 0.40.
Okay, so if the price drops down to that $0.40 level, that could be a buying opportunity.
It could be, especially if we see other bullish signals that kind of confirm that support level. Like for example, we could look for a bounce off that level. That's where the price drops down, touches that support, and then starts moving back up.
So it's like the price is testing that support and
Yeah.
then finding enough buyers to push it back up.
Exactly. And another thing that would confirm that signal is an increase in trading volume as the price gets closer to that support level. Higher volume usually means there's more buying interest, which could, help support a bounce.
Okay, so we're watching for a bounce off that $1.40 support and more volume. Got it. But what if the price like breaks below that support?
Well, that would be a bearish signal. It means the sellers are in control and might push the price even lower. In that case, it's probably best to wait for a clearer sign that the trend is reversing before jumping into a trade.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we have a potential buy setup if it bounces off support with more volume, but we're also like keeping an eye out for a break below support as a warning sign. It's all about, managing risk and being ready for anything.
Exactly. And remember, this is just one example. You can use the same approach with any coin you're looking at. Just identify those key support and resistance levels and then look for those confirming signals.
This is great stuff. It feels like we're like learning to decode the language of the charts, learning to read the signals that tell us what the market might do next.
I like that analogy. And just like, learning any new language, it takes time and practice to really become fluent. But the more charts you analyze, the more you'll start to see those patterns and signals.
So we talked about XRP. What about Cardano? What's its technical setup looking like?
Cardano is actually showing us something a little different. It's trading above its key support level right now, which is around $1.20. But it's also facing a pretty strong resistance level around $1.50.
So it's stuck in a range between support and resistance.
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
and in this case, we'd be watching for a break above that $1.50 resistance level as a potential buy signal.
Okay, so if the price can break through that ceiling and stay above it, that means the momentum is shifting and it could move higher.
Exactly. And just like with support levels, we'd want to see some confirming signals, like more trading volume and bullish candlestick patterns, just to make sure that breakout is real.
So it's not just about the price going up, it's about what those candlesticks are telling us and whether the volume is backing up that story.
Yeah, exactly. It's about putting all those pieces together to get a clearer picture of what the market's really doing.
This is fantastic. We're analyzing charts, finding those key levels, and even learning to read candlestick patterns. I
Yeah.
feel like my crypto trading game is leveling up like every minute.
And remember, in the crypto world, knowledge is power. The more you understand the technical stuff, the better prepared you'll be to handle this market. It's
Yep.
exciting, but it can be, pretty volatile.
Right. It's about taking control of your crypto journey, not just blindly following the hype or what everyone else is doing.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so we've covered XRP and Cardano. Are there any other coins on our chosen list that we should take a look at?
I think Solana and Avalanche are worth mentioning. They didn't quite make it into that all four categories group we talked about before, but they're both US based projects. They're attending the summit and they're showing some interesting things on their charts.
Okay, let's start with Solana. What are you seeing on its chart?
So Solana is currently testing a major support level on the weekly charts around $20, and this level has held pretty strong several times in the past. It's like a solid floor for the price.
So kind of like XRP, it could be a buying opportunity if the price bounces off that support level and we see an increase in volume.
Yeah, exactly. And what's particularly interesting here is that Solana is also forming a potential bullish divergence on the daily chart.
Bullish divergence. Can you remind me what that means?
Sure. It basically means the price is making lower lows, but the momentum indicator, like the RSI, is making higher lows. It's like the price is getting weaker, but the coin itself is actually getting stronger.
So it's like a hidden bullish signal, like the selling pressure is fading and maybe the price is about to reverse.
Exactly. Bullish divergences often happen right before price reversals, especially when they're near those key support levels.
Okay, so Solana is testing a major support level and showing us this potential bullish divergence. I'm definitely putting that on my watch list. What about Avalanche? What's going on with its chart?
Avalanche is in a similar situation. It's also trading near a key support level on the weekly chart around $18. And just like Solana, it's showing signs of a potential bullish divergence on the daily chart.
So both Solana and Avalanche are kind of doing the same thing, testing support and hinting at a potential reversal. It's
Yep.
like they're both coiled springs, just waiting to explode upwards.
That's a great analogy, and that's what makes technical analysis so cool. It's all about recognizing those patterns and signals that can give you an advantage in the market.
This has been such an awesome deep dive. We've explored the potential impact of the summit, analyzed some specific chart setups, and even learned about bullish divergences and other technical concepts.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a much better understanding of the crypto market now.
And that's what we're aiming for. It's all about empowering ourselves with knowledge and making informed decisions.
Right. It's about taking control of your crypto journey, not just blindly following the hype of the crowd.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to remind our listeners that we'll be back with a post-summit analysis. We'll break down what actually happened and look at any new trading opportunities that might pop up.
It's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. So listeners, stay tuned for that post-summit analysis. And in the meantime, keep those charts handy, keep those minds curious, and remember, fortune favors the informed. Okay, so we've done a lot of prep work, right? We've talked about how big the summit could be, the different ways they might set up a crypto reserve, and even, dove into some technical analysis basics.
Yeah, we've definitely given everyone a lot to think about. It's like we've handed them a whole toolkit for navigating the crypto market.
Exactly. But
Wow.
now comes the fun part, right? Putting those tools to use. I'm ready to like roll up my sleeves and get into some specific chart setups for those potential chosen coins. Where do we even start?
Well, let's circle back to XRP for a minute. Remember we were talking about how it's kind of in no trade zone right now, just stuck in the middle of its price range, not really going anywhere.
Yeah, it's like it's waiting for something to like push it out of that range. So
Uh-huh.
so what are we looking for to figure out when it might be a good time to make a move?
One approach is to look for those key support and resistance levels we talked about before. If you look at XRP's chart, you'll see a pretty big support level around 0 to 40 cents.
Okay, so if the price drops down to that $0.40 level, that could be like a buy signal.
It could be, yeah. Especially if we see other things happening that kind of confirm that support level. Like for example, we could look for a bounce. That's where the price goes down, hits that support, and then starts moving back up.
So it's like the price is like testing that support level, seeing if it holds, and then finding enough buyers to push it back up.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that could confirm that is if we see the trading volume go up as the price gets close to that support. More volume usually means there's more buying interest, which could help fuel a bounce.
Okay, so we're looking for a bounce off that $1.40 support and more volume coming in.
Got it.
But what if the price breaks below that support?
Well, that's not a good sign. That would be a bearish signal, meaning the sellers are in control and they might push the price down even further. In that case, you probably want to wait for a clearer sign that the trend is reversing before you do anything.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we have a potential buy setup if it bounces off support with more volume, but we're also like watching out for a break below support as a red flag. Always got to manage risk and be ready for anything.
Exactly. And remember, this is just one example. You can use the same approach with any coin you're analyzing. Just find those key support and resistance levels and then look for those little clues that tell you what's really going on.
Hey, this is great. I feel like we're like code breakers, decoding the language of the charts, learning to read those signals that tell us what the market's going to do next.
I like that. And just like learning any language, it takes time and practice to get really good at it. But the more charts you look at, the more you'll start to see those patterns and signals jump out at you.
So we talked about XRP. What about Cardano? What's its setup looking like?
Cardano is actually showing us something a little different. It's trading above its key support level right now, which is around $1.20, but it's also facing a pretty strong resistance level at around $1.50.
So it's kind of stuck in a range between support and resistance.
Yep, exactly. And in this case, we'd be watching for a break above that $1.50 resistance level as a potential buy signal.
Okay, so if the price can push through that ceiling and stay above it, that's a good sign, right? Like it's gaining momentum and could keep going up.
Right. And just like with support levels, we want to see those confirming signals,
Oh,
like more trading volume
yeah.
and those bullish candlestick patterns,
Yeah.
just to be sure that breakout is the real deal.
So it's not just about the price going up. It's about what those candlesticks are telling us
Right.
and whether the volume is there to back it up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's all about putting all the pieces together to get a clear picture of what's really happening in the market.
This is amazing. We're analyzing charts, we're finding those key levels, we're even like reading candlestick patterns now. I feel like my crypto trading skills are leveling up like every minute.
And that's what it's all about, right? Empowering ourselves with knowledge and making smart decisions.
Right. It's about taking control of your crypto journey, not just, following the hype or the crowd.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so we've covered XRP, Cardano. Are there any other coins on our chosen list that we should take a peek at?
I think Solana and Avalanche are worth a mention. They didn't quite make it into that all four categories group we talked about before, but they were both U.S. based projects. They're attending the summit and they're showing some pretty interesting things on the charts.
Okay, let's start with Solana. What are you seeing there?
Solana is currently testing a major support level on the weekly chart, which is around $20, and this level has held up pretty well several times in the past. It's like a solid floor for the price.
So kind of like with XRP, it could be a good time to buy if the price bounces off that support level and we see that increase in volume.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's interesting is that Solana is also forming a potential bullish divergence on the daily chart.
Bullish divergence. Remind me what that is again.
Sure, it basically means that the price is making lower lows, but the momentum indicator, like the RSI, is making higher lows. So it's like the price is getting weaker, but the underlying strength of the coin is actually increasing.
So it's like a hidden signal, right?
Yeah.
Like the selling pressure is maybe drying up and the price could be about to reverse.
Exactly, yeah. Bullish divergences often happen right before those price reversals, especially when they're near those key support levels.
Okay, so we've got Solana testing a major support level, and it's showing this potential bullish divergence. I'm definitely keeping an eye on that one. What about Avalanche? What's going on there?
Avalanche is kind of in the same boat. It's also trading near a key support level on the weekly chart, around $18. And just like Solana, it's showing signs of a potential bullish divergence on the daily chart.
So both Solana and Avalanche are kind of doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Testing support and maybe hinting at a reversal. It's like they're both what's the word? Like coiled springs just waiting to pop.
That's a great analogy. And
Yeah.
and that's what makes technical analysis so powerful. It's about recognizing those patterns and those signals that can give you a real edge in the market.
This has been an amazing deep dive. We've talked about the summit, analyzed some specific charts, and even learned about things like bullish divergences and all these other technical concepts. I feel like I've learned so much about how the crypto market works.
That's what we're here for. It's all about giving people the knowledge they need to make their own decisions and navigate this exciting space.
Right. It's about taking control of your crypto journey and not just blindly following the hype. So before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone that we'll be back with a post-summit analysis to break down what actually happened and see if any interesting trading opportunities emerged.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It definitely will. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, keep learning, keep exploring, and remember, fortune favors the informed. We'll catch you all next time.